What's up guys, Alec here, and today I want to talk about using straps in your training. And I'm gonna give you guys a really good reason why you should consider using straps. And this is a reason that no one else has ever told you about. Now, strap usage is often a contentious issue in the weight training realm and in weight training circles, with some purists arguing that you should never use straps because it bypasses the grip. It bypasses your ability to hold on to the bar. And they believe that if you can't support the bar, if you can't grip the bar with your own two hands without any assistance, then that means that you shouldn't even be attempting to lift that weight. But that is a bit of a myopic perspective, right? And as with most things in life, the answer to this riddle lies somewhere squarely in the middle. And I don't really want to go too deeply today into general strap usage though. And here I'm talking about on exercises like deadlifts and rows and other slow strength pulling movements where you would typically see straps being used, because that topic's already been done many times before, honestly. Now, just briefly, in my opinion, you shouldn't be so dogmatic on this topic that you absolutely refuse to make use of straps when they could otherwise enhance your training, such as with a high rep set of deadlifts, maybe an AMRAP set of deadlifts, something like that, or if you're performing high frequencies or very high volumes of pulling work in general, and it just eventually starts to beat the hell out of your hands. Straps can be a really good augmentation to your training in cases like that. And then on the flip side of something like that, you shouldn't just use straps for absolutely anything and everything to the point that they become a crutch and your grip strength starts to suffer as a result. Like I said, it should be a happy middle ground here, just like with pretty much everything else. But what I really want to dive into today, though, is a much less discussed topic, and one that's actually much more pertinent to my own channel and the types of exercises that I often endorse. And that is the use of straps during ballistic and explosive exercises. Here I'm talking about things like power snatches and high pulls, even dumbbell power snatches, and even hang power cleans. And you see, these exercises are fundamentally different from the traditional slow strength movements that we typically think of when we're talking about strap usage, like deadlifts and rows and that kind of thing. They're fundamentally different in that the explosive component that is present during these lifts literally tries to pry the bar out of your hands. And so, in my opinion, just for example, in my opinion, it's actually much easier to hold on to 5 or even 600 pounds statically, as you would be doing at the top of a deadlift, than it is to hold on to even just 250 pounds from the hang position while attempting to impart max power into the bar so that you can heave it onto your shoulders and power clean it. And then once you start getting into snatch grip variations like the hang power snatch and snatch grip high pull, two lifts that I also love and promote frequently, then that wide snatch grip, it compounds this issue even further, because now you have the combination of that explosive component that I was just talking about along with the wide snatch grip, which is a substantially weaker position to grip the bar from than when the arm is perpendicular to the bar, like it is with a deadlift or even with a power clean. And so this explosive component that tries to pry the bar from your hands during these explosive exercises, it tries to pry the bar out of your grasp when you need your grip to be its most solid, that is one of the primary reasons why I recommend the use of straps during these explosive exercises pretty much exclusively. Now, I should note that I personally only perform the power versions of the Olympic lifts at this point. That the power version designation is that you catch the bar, you receive the bar in a position that is higher than a parallel squat. Typically, you would aim for a quarter squat, going down to maybe a half squat at the very lowest, and then it starts to become ambiguous as to whether or not you're doing a power clean or a power snatch. But anything lower than parallel is no longer considered a power version of the lift. And so that's kind of the designation that I make now. I only perform the power versions myself. That's typically how I program for most of my trainees as well, is with the power versions and with the hang position. That's the style that I teach to most of my clients, and that's how I perform the lifts myself, the hang power versions. And I mention these things specifically because it has often been touted that you should never use straps during cleans because it's dangerous, because you might not be able to get your elbows to rotate around to receive the bar in a proper front rack position. As well, you might get stuck to the bar. You might not be able to bail out from a lift quickly enough because the straps might leave you stuck to the bar. I can't remember the name. There was an American weightlifter maybe 10 or 15 years ago. He was doing a set of cleans in his training, so maybe 150 kilograms. That was like 330 pounds, maybe it was 160. I can't remember, something in that vicinity. And I think he hit the first rep smooth, if I'm recalling correctly. Then he went to do a hang clean, and he was in the full squat in the bottom position, and he got stuck. He needed to bail because he had lost his balance, but he couldn't get the bar off his shoulders because the straps had him tethered. He fell back, he landed on his back with the bar still in his arms, and he ended up, his elbows hit the ground with the weight in his hands, and he ended up snapping both of his wrists, and it was a heck of a comeback. I do believe he made a successful competition comeback a while after that, but that was a very gruesome injury. And so reasons like that is why it's typically recommended that you do not use straps during cleans. However, in my opinion, when you are relatively proficient at power cleaning from the hang position, and you have the ability to create a good, solid, and strong front rack position, there's minimal danger in using a pair of minimalist weightlifting straps to execute this movement, to execute the hang power clean. Okay, and this falls in line pretty much exactly with what Zach Thielander says on the subject as well. And he is far more knowledgeable regarding the nuances of Olympic weightlifting than I am.
My rule for straps is don't use them for cleans if you're gonna squat. If you're gonna go down below parallel, or if you're gonna go into a clean, it's just not worth it. For this though, I mean, we're literally going from here to here, so it's not gonna be that dangerous.
And so that American weightlifter who was injured by using straps during his cleans, he was performing full squat cleans, caught in a very deep squat position. And so as long as you are power cleaning and not squat cleaning, there isn't that much danger to being tethered to the bar by the minimalist style weightlifting straps. These aren't the typical straps that you see most gym bros using in a gym. They don't give you nearly as much hold on the bar as a pair of regular loop straps do, because they can't loop around the bar as many times. And so they can kind of slip off as soon as you let go of the bar. They're actually pretty easy to bail out from. Now, obviously, you have to have a good to decent level of proficiency at the exercise before you should attempt this, before you should even attempt to use straps here. Otherwise, you may actually find yourself stuck to the bar when you don't want to be. But honestly, that should go without saying. And another thing is, it's pretty much impossible to hold a secure hook grip from rep to rep when you're doing hang power cleans, because you actually have to release your hook in order to properly catch the bar in a solid front rack position. And so getting up here and then trying to lower the bar and resetting the hook while you're still holding it is a dubious proposition at best. And so a pair of minimalist weightlifting straps can actually really work wonders here and can make your hang power clean work much more productive overall. And then with the snatch variations, it's really a similar deal. Now, it's universally accepted that straps should be used when you're training the snatch frequently, even in weightlifting circles, Olympic weightlifting circles, right? The frequency of practice that's required to truly master the full lift, the full snatch from the floor, caught in a deep squat position, coupled with the way that the wide snatch grip tends to beat up the hands, means that most Olympic weightlifters actually use straps frequently in their training for the snatch. And for you, it really should be no different. When you're performing the hang power snatch for athletic enhancement or general fitness, which is how I typically recommend that you do it, then the straps are going to ensure that your grip remains snug to the bar from rep to rep, and you don't have to bail out or give up on a set that you could have otherwise completed very successfully just because your grip was starting to slip a tiny bit. Now, a major benefit that you're going to get from this strap usage here that I don't think I've ever even heard anyone else mention or discuss is enhanced power development, because there is a big difference between the amount of force that you can generate from your legs and your hips and even your back and impart into the barbell when you are using straps versus when you are not using straps. Think of it this way. If your hips and your legs are capable of generating, we'll just call it 100 units of power at maximal effort, right? And you put maximal effort into every single rep that you do on these exercises, but your grip is only capable of transferring 90 of those units into the bar. What would this mean for your training? It would mean that if you never use straps to train these explosive exercises, that you would always be leaving a large percentage of your gains on the table because you have a big energy leak between the actual resistance that you're moving against and the prime movers that are responsible for producing the majority of force and transferring that energy into the bar. And so when we use these lifts for general power development and athletic enhancement, we are using them specifically to create a training effect in the hips and the legs, right? And so logically, it makes absolutely no sense to leave those potential gains on the table just because you're so dogmatic that you refuse to use straps. Now, I know someone is going to say something along the lines of, oh, just train your grip and bring it up because it's a weak point and blah, 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 blah. But that's not really a true solution here because these exercises are unique. They're not like deadlifting, and they're not like rowing, and they're not like the exercises where you would traditionally think of needing straps because you have a weak grip or something like that. Part of the reason why the hook grip is used at all during the Olympic lifts is because it helps the arms to stay relaxed during the pull. If the arms are not relaxed, then they will blunt power transfer from the hips and the legs into the bar. And if you don't have straps or you don't have a hook grip, squeezing the hell out of the bar in order to make sure that your grip is secure is a good way to lock up your arms. Sorry about the thunder. Is a good way to lock up your arms and blunt your power transfer. And that's also going to ultimately blunt the training effect that you're getting here. And so part of the problem though, as I alluded to earlier, is that it's damn near impossible, or at least it would be incredibly, incredibly uncomfortable to try to hook grip your way through a set of 3 or 4 or 5 reps on the hang power snatch or the hang power clean or the snatch grip high pull. But as general fitness enthusiasts and athletes and non-Olympic weightlifters, we still want to use these abbreviated versions of the lifts because it's just a better way for non-Olympic weightlifters to get the benefits of the Olympic lifts without having to spend so much time mastering the technical demands that are present during the full versions of the lifts. And so these minimalist weightlifting straps, they actually act similarly to how the hook grip acts on the bar. They give you a much more secure and snug grip on the bar, allowing for better power transfer and a maximal training effect on the hips and the legs. You're not bleeding power out and leaving gains on the table like you would be if you weren't using a hook grip or if you weren't using any straps at all. And at the same time, they allow you to keep the arms a little bit more relaxed than if you were just having to squeeze the hell out of the bar with no straps, right? And they also still at the same time, they don't put you at a huge risk for getting stuck to the bar in case you need to bail out because they don't actually wrap around the bar that many times. So as soon as you let go, they just tend to kind of fall off the bar. And so ultimately, it simply makes more sense to strap up for these particular exercise variations, for these explosive lifts, so that you can get the maximum benefit from these explosive lifts every time that you train them. And your hips and your legs will be able to impart more power into the bar, which will create a greater training effect. And over time, that greater training effect is going to compound itself exponentially, making you into a much more powerful athlete than you would have otherwise been if you were too dogmatic to experiment with strap usage here. Remember, these tools exist for a reason. And if you understand why and you understand when that you should use them, then you'll be able to take advantage of their benefits in order to enhance your training and your fitness without having them become a crutch that eventually holds you back. Anyway, that's all I got for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, I hope you were able to take something useful away from it. Please remember to smash the like button before you go. Leave me some love in the comments, subscribe to my channel, all that jazz. And if you're interested in online coaching or training programs, be sure to visit my website, www.oncureelitefitness.com, for more details. Keep training hard, and I will catch you guys next time.